So I've been working to fill out my GameCube collection for a little while now, and I wanted to do a fun video today because it's Easter, so happy Easter everyone out there celebrating it. Otherwise, happy Sunday. But I want to do a quick video talking about the overall retro scene currently, because pricing around some of these systems I think has gotten out of control, but I still think it actually has quite a bit of runway to it still, and some systems now are going to start making that climb similar to the GameCube. I don't know if it's going to be as out there and crazy, but I just wanted to go over some of my thoughts here, and one system in particular I think is worth looking at right now to start building that collection up for the future when it probably will look to bounce and actually start climbing in overall value. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're newer to the Spawn channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So I'm going to jump over here. This is price charting, and the reason I'm just going to jump to price charting is because they give us a good look at the overall average cost on the systems for the different games between complete and box, loose, and it also gives us like a range over time. It's not exact. It seems to pull data from like eBay and Amazon. It does its best to kind of average and give us an idea, at least a rough idea, as to where a game is currently with the overall selling trends and buying trends and all of that. So, I mean, obviously, if you look at the GameCube, if you have been yourself trying to buy GameCube games, you've probably recognized this as well. I mean, look, this is the overall like price index for the GameCube itself. Going back to like 2010, it was pretty low, 2010, 2012. And right in here is when the Wii U was out, and that's a time when Nintendo just wasn't that popular, especially in the home console sector. So I can kind of understand why things like the GameCube even would have fallen down a bit, as less people were buying Nintendo products than they were before with the Wii. But look at this. We get into like 2018, it starts to rise, and then this past I'm going to say this past year overall has just been this massive run for the GameCube. I mean, it's gone from an average of like $12.26 all the way up to almost $20 as of February. And I would say probably over the course of March, it probably has climbed to over $20. And some of the pricings for these games are like outrageous, to the point where even I was surprised the other day. I had to replace one of my games. It was Star Fox Adventures. And I might say Star Fox Adventures, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not a good game or anything. I actually like playing the game. I think it's a pretty fun game for what it is. It was different for Star Fox, so it was interesting, at least to me at the time. And I went online. I was like, all right, I think this is like a $15 game, because I remember buying it, and it was less than $15 when I first got it, and the disc just stopped working over time. So wouldn't I be surprised when I go online and I find that the price for this thing was $35 complete. I actually had to go on eBay and I found a complete copy. It looked really, really good. And I remember buying this thing, like I said, less than 15 right in here. And I mean, we're talking like a $14, $15 purchase here complete, now up to over $35 complete on eBay. And it gets more out of control when you look at other games. I bought Def Jam Fight for New York because we had it in a video. That was a $60 game. I still have like the eBay purchases picked up here for some of these. Now it's like $136, and there was this obvious jump right here in January of last year, so a little over a year ago. It was this massive jump. We had a bit of a decline, and then it jumped again. GameCube in general, across the board, has been on fire. You mix that with like Pokemon, though. Look at this. Pokemon XD. This is one I bought for $60 a year ago, I think, as well. It just made this massive jump to over $200. A lot of that has to do, obviously, with the Pokemon anniversary and all of this, but you mix GameCube and Pokemon, and you have like a recipe for this massive jump in terms of pricing. I bought Gotcha Force a little while ago, too, and I thought that was like the most expensive GameCube game I had purchased complete, and it was $250, I think, and now it's up to $346, and like Fire Emblem cost me, I think, $130 at the time. I got a pretty good deal on it then, and that's up to like almost $300 complete. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. The Zelda Collector's Edition is like almost $100. Twilight Princess is $138. Now, the biggest thing here, and I'm going to warn you about Twilight Princess, I think it's mostly any of these Zelda games, it's going to come back down in price. The reason this jumped so much, I feel, is because we're in that Zelda anniversary year. So people are getting, hyped for Zelda. The Mario stuff is coming to a close. We've been talking about the Zelda anniversary for a little while now. So I feel that Twilight Princess is going to fall, much like what happened with Sunshine, where we got the rumors that Mario Sunshine was going to be heading to the Switch in a collection. That was at the end of March, right here, where Sunshine was like $57 or so, jumped all the way up to $75 for a little while, and then as soon as it released or got announced in September, boom, falls. The buying fell tremendously on that. Everyone was buying it on the Switch, and now it's like a $48 game, back to what it really should have been with the typical growth it had over the last several years. I also noticed the 64 had been, jumping heavily, but the issue I have with the 64 and why I don't think this, for example, with this index is as obvious, mostly is because it's also including the complete in box prices. The complete in box prices is like so much higher than just having it loose. We're talking like Mario 64 when it's loose at 32 versus like 117. It's usually like 4 to 5 times minimum what it costs if you have it loose versus complete in box. It's all cardboard and the stuff's like dissolved basically over time. But I wanted to really start to look at the PlayStation side of things. The reason for that is because we had that announcement from Sony that they would be shutting down the PS3, PSP, and PS Vita stores, which means a lot of those digital versions of physical PlayStation games that are pretty expensive already were going to go away. So there wouldn't be an alternative to that. And I noticed a little while ago that PlayStation was already starting to trend upwards this last year. Now we're talking about a system that's going to all of a sudden have a bunch of games that are only available physically. And the thing with the PlayStation 1 games is there are actually a lot of systems that will play them. Every PS3, you can pop a PS1 disc in and it'll work. So the physical side of things with the PS1 actually makes a lot of sense for people to try to seek out and pick up. And like, for example, here's Misadventure to Tron Bond. That had an interesting bump recently, up to $437. That was like $8 on the PlayStation Network, by the way, still. So if you want to play it, you might as well go buy it now. Suikoden 2 had a big jump to $373. And it's I think the PS1 is going to be a good one to start picking up, but these games are already expensive. The PS2 is starting to rise in price as well. That will be less impacted by the closure of these stores, however, because there aren't a lot of PS2 games necessarily on there. But the system that I would really start to look into right now is the PlayStation 3. And you might be thinking, well, why would I get the PS3? They're still readily available. You can get the games easily. They're not expensive. And you would be right. That's why I think it's worth picking up now and starting to build that collection up, because the PS3 is not something that Sony has looked into for backwards compatibility, which means that they are not going to exist on the digital stores anymore. And it's not going to be something you'll be able to play on your PS5. It doesn't play on the PS4, obviously. Probably won't play on the PS6. The way that Jim Ryan is looking at the PS3 currently is the situation of, why would anyone want to play that? It's old. The PS3 is, it's going to be 15 years old this holiday. And that should make everyone feel old right now. But the way this seems to work with these systems is generations come through, of gamers. So the PS3 was someone's first system 15 years ago when it came home, from the store, like their dad or whoever got it for them, or they have it and the kids are playing it. And as they get older and, they get to the point where they have a job or they're in the workforce and they're like, I really want to go back and get the PS3 and I want to start picking up a lot of these games. That's usually when we see the traffic pick up to these systems and you start to see demand rise, and naturally the pricing will follow suit with that. I think currently the PS3 is in this spot that I'm looking at with something like the PS1, for example, where it was kind of down and then it started to go up. The GameCube was kind of the same way, right? Where it was down and then it came up. And a lot of that had to do with just people working through them. And the 360, I don't think is going to be a system that's going to be comparable to the PlayStation 3, because Microsoft has made a big initiative to try to get those games onto their own digital marketplace. Those games aren't going away necessarily. Some will, so I'm sure some will become valuable. But the overall library of games, the PS3 is probably the one that I would recommend to start building that collection up. I actually started ordering some myself. I think I ordered 60 PlayStation 3 games the other day, and I actually went by GameStop and looked around, and they have a whole section where it's 4 games for $20. Like, you see, just go and you start loading up PS3 games, and like $100 gets you what, like 20 games or something. So you can start stacking up PS3 games pretty well. The PS3, if you have the system, is also region free. So you can start looking around outside of your own region, like in Japan or something. And I think right now, the PS3 is the one that is undervalued and will very quickly become valuable to people, especially when we get to the point where the store is discontinued, and then we get a couple more years down the road, and people who had this system and are hit with nostalgia, because think about it this way, 5 years from now, the PS3 is going to be 20 years old. I mean, that's retro at that point. And as for the retro gaming bubble overall, it's hard to say if it really will burst. Like the GameCube, I have to assume is going to come down like soon. It cannot get more expensive, can it? I said a while ago with Pokemon XD when I bought it for $60, I was like, oh, this feels more expensive than it should be. And now it's over $200. So who knows? Maybe it can keep going up. But I think more or less, if you want to get into collecting and you're trying to figure out a system that would be a good one to start loading up on now, it's the PlayStation 3. But I mean, you could also technically do the PS2 because that hasn't really spiked too much, but even that's starting to get pretty collectible. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below, with the retro gaming bubble getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And these GameCube prices, I'm telling you guys, I'm trying with some of these GameCube games, but it's getting tough. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.